my name is Corey. I'm going to be your teacher today for a video of a class that we're going to be going over that's going to be focused on internet security. It's called Internet Wise. To start with here, before we begin, I'd like to kind of overview some of the learning objectives we're going to aim for in teaching this class. At the end of this class, the student will understand online privacy risks and know a few simple tools to combat them. Learn how your behavior can either help or hinder protecting your privacy, be able to install and use browser plugins to protect privacy, and know how to use proxies. And then finally, know how to download the Tor browser. Let's go ahead and jump right in, actually. Now that we've kind of gone over what the overview of the class is going to be. So to start out with, let's kind of address what online privacy is. So online privacy is concerned with the storing, repurposing, and provision of your data to third parties. That includes like data brokers, governments, etc. And the display of information pertaining to oneself via the internet. Privacy can entail either personally identifying information. That's information that could be used to identify an individual, like age, physical address, etc. And non-personally identifying information, like the behavior of a site's visitor. Invasions of privacy can come from several sources. That includes external, things like ISPs, which stands for Internet Service Providers, the NSA, data brokers, and hackers, who use things like keyloggers and other forms of like backdoor access and things like that. And then there's also the other sources can be internal, which can be from like spouses, family members, people with physical access to the computer and things like that. So some of the behaviors to protect your privacy online we'll go over next. The best way to protect your privacy online is to make good decisions about what information you reveal. There are a few easy behavioral steps that you can take to protect your privacy online. Let's go ahead and pull up a website here that has some lists of things here. Okay, so we're just going to kind of do like a quick overview of this website here that we have pulled up. So these are the top 10 internet scams you should know and avoid in 2020. So if you just kind of check this out. We're not going to read over everything here exactly, but I'm at least going to scroll through this web page here to kind of give you like an idea. And then we'll likely amend the video with a direct link to this website as well, so you can check it out yourself. Or if you'd like, you can also pull it off the video here. But we're just going to kind of scroll through it here. You've got all the different varieties here, impersonation, scam. We're not going to take the time, like I said, to go into depth on all these or any of these really, but just kind of do an overview. There's a lot of different types of scams out there. Charity and relief internet scams, those are big in our current era, this current year for sure. Extortion and blackmail scams. I think we've all heard and read horror stories about that. Phishing internet scams. Phishing internet scams are some of the most common that are out there. Lawsuit and legal fee scam. The email attachment scam. Hijack profile scam. That one's pretty common as well. Online quiz and game scam. Survey scam. So yeah, I'm not going to go through all these, but these are just kind of to give you a sampling of what's out there and what some of the dangers are. Moving on from that here. Go ahead and get rid of that. So what pieces of information do people need to steal your identity on the internet? There's kind of like three basic things. Name, birth date, social security number. And then one of the things that we encourage people to do in this class, not with every website, of course, but one of the things that you want to do often, or at least consider, is lie to a lot of websites. You're not required on most websites to give truthful and honest info. You can set your birth date to something you'll remember, like 1/1/1984, for example, which would not be your real birth date, obviously, but that's an example of like some misleading information you can input on a website that maybe it isn't necessary for you to give the exact or correct information. You can also set up an alternate email that you use exclusively for signing up for junk accounts online, like forums and game sites and things like that. And these will help keep your personal inbox free of clutter. So just to kind of reiterate also, while we kind of encourage people to lie with like some websites, there are some websites out there that you definitely do not want to lie on and you want to give your actual real information on. With things like social networking, you're going to want to know and adjust your settings for social networking services and other websites as needed. One of the things that we kind of throw out there is, do you know what information Facebook is sharing about you? By default, you share with your friends. Maybe you only want to share certain photos with certain friends. Also understand Facebook can adjust default sharing settings at any time on you. Most account settings for Facebook and beyond can be adjusted via the gear icon. It's a little icon that looks like an actual like gear. There's also on some websites or some social media, there's like a down arrow. It's usually located in the upper right-hand corner of the website, or at least in Facebook's case, it's located in the upper right-hand corner of the website. As far as like with passwords go, that's kind of our next area of focus. One of the easiest ways to protect your privacy is to create strong passwords. Something we're going to kind of go over here a little bit is what makes a strong password. Lots of characters, lots of different types of characters, upper and lowercase, numbers and special characters. Usually a combination of all those things is the best. Not using common words or phrases, and using a password manager like Dashlane, RoboForm, and KeePass, which are all websites that kind of help you randomly generate or come up with passwords. So let's real quick kind of pull up like a list of typical passwords that are pretty common out there. We'll just do a quick search of common passwords. Right there, we have a list of the top 10 most common. Here we go. So pretty basic and obvious ones. Obviously, you do not want to pick these. These are especially dangerous to choose for your password, so you don't want to do that. Another website too that we can check out here. Oops. HowSecureIsMyPassword.net. And here you can put in your password, and this website will actually evaluate it. It'll kind of give you an idea of how secure or how good your password is if you input it here and it actually gives you feedback. This website is really good for that. So if you're not sure about how secure or decent or good, worthwhile or reliable your password is, you can check it on this website. And that's HowSecureIsMyPassword.net. So moving right along here, we're going to go on to some browser and search engine related topics in regards to security. So beyond changing your behavior, there are a lot of software and web-related options to help protect your privacy. One of the things you want to do, of course, is use a good browser. You want to use a reliable, consistent browser. One of the things that, or one of the browsers that's more popular, other than Google Chrome, of course, is Internet Explorer. And Internet Explorer is notorious for having security holes. They're also kind of known for not patching flaws in a reasonable time frame. And you can avoid Internet Explorer entirely by downloading a different browser or going with something like Firefox or Chrome. A lot of people have their opinions on those browsers as well, whether they're good or not. One of the ones that I just mentioned, Firefox, we're going to go ahead and pull up here real quick. So Firefox, rather than Chrome, is open source. We which means that anyone can look at the code and is made by a nonprofit corporation, rather than Google or Microsoft, who are not particularly concerned with your privacy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open Google, or excuse me, we're going to go ahead and open Firefox, which we already have. But what we want to do specifically is we want to go up here to the three dots up here in the corner, and then we want to click on New Incognito Window. So, or wait, excuse me, sorry, that was Google Chrome. So actually, here we go. We got Firefox pulled up. We're not going to select it as our default browser. So here we go. Now we have Firefox pulled up. Excuse me, that was Google Chrome before. So this is Firefox, and it's pretty much in the same spot up here. Instead of the three dots, it's the triple equal sign, or the three dashes. So if you click on that, so if you click on that, there's a new private window that pops up. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and select new private window. And you have this little notification right here that says you're in a private window. This is what it looks like, and this is what you do to pull it open. This is meant to prevent information from being stored locally on your computer. This does not mean that you are anonymous. So to make it clear, you can still be tracked via your IP address, which is your computer and or router's specific kind of phone number. But your search history, passwords, and cookies will not be saved on the local machine. This will protect your privacy from other people who use the same computer. So other browsers also include a similar mode, as you kind of saw me going towards there on Google Chrome. And like I said before, it's in the same spot. It's up in the right-hand corner of the browser, but on Google Chrome, it's three dots, and you click on it. Instead of privacy mode, it's called incognito mode. And Explorer has a version of it as well. So most people automatically use Google.com, or excuse me, most people use Google.com to perform their searches. That's the most popular search engine for sure. But Google is a major data collector. And also, anytime you use a third party to perform a search or store data, you're relying on someone else, and it should be important that you have some trust in that relationship. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a website here. We'll go ahead and just do it in privacy mode on Firefox. So. Oops. How safety you got in there? Try this again. Okay, sorry, I'm not sure what happened there. I think I typed it in wrong, but this is the website here. So this is basically where Google kind of illustrates what parts of your search Google records. This is their attempt, I guess, to be upfront about that. I'll just kind of scroll through it here to kind of show you. I'm going really fast, I know, but this is kind of the general overview here at the top of the page, where it says being transparent about the data that we use. And it shows you what information we collect as you use our services, information you create or provide to us, and then it has all the specifications down here underneath it too. And then as you scroll down the page, there's more information too. But yeah, this is what they collect and what they keep in their records and everything. We want to emphasize too that this is a sanitized list that Google has made themselves. A lot of people have opinions on this, but this is what they put out there. So let's just do a couple random searches here. Do one about puppies. And maybe we'll do one, how to get away with crime. We're just kind of doing some general searches right now to just kind of pull up and show what search results come up when we do certain kinds of searches and things like that. Some interesting results from Quora there at the top, as to be expected with that kind of search. So yeah, this is also to just kind of illustrate that your search history can say a lot about you, sometimes too much maybe. But oftentimes people collecting your data have no context for your searches. So let's to illustrate that even further, kind of similar to what my search here says. Let's type in a few things. All right, some pretty nefarious potential searches here, as you can see. Obviously kind of makes you wonder, what is the person who is performing these searches planning? If you were to see somebody's searches in a search engine that were this, you'd probably have some pretty suspicious ideas as to what was going on, I would assume. I know I would at least. But, I mean, for all you know, this person could also be a writer for a cold case or like a murder or mystery show. We have no idea what their intentions are. And this is just to kind of show that we don't really have context for what people are searching on the internet for when they do their searches. It can be hard to tell what their intents are, what their purposes are, even if it's seemingly obvious on the surface like this. So there are other search engines that do not store your search data, like Duckduckgo.com and StartPage.com. They do rely on advertisements for funding, but they won't target ads based on search history and clicked links. So let's go to Duckduckgo and see what some of their results are like compared to the ones we've got on Google here. Type. Okay, so here we are at duckduckgo.com. So let's go ahead and do a search for puppies again, like we did in our first search on Google Chrome, or on Firefox, excuse me. Just gonna search puppies like we did on Firefox. Or no, that's Google Chrome. Okay, so let's compare here. These are your results on DuckDuckGo. And these were our results on Google Chrome specifically. So you can see right away there's quite a bit of differences there between what you get between the two different search engines. Not even scroll very far down. If you go further, you're going to see some similarities for sure, but definitely some differences. One of the main things that you can see that's different for sure there's a lot more links to other websites like YouTube. A lot more businesses come up on Google. A lot more commercial related things, but businesses especially. So that's just a couple things that are different between the two different search engines, just to kind of show you. So part of the reason also to kind of emphasize the differences between search engines and what's going on here is there are certain searches that might be considered to be sensitive information in some way, like looking up symptoms of depression, medical issues, anything like that. So there's different search engines. You might want to consider maybe using different search engines for different searches, whatever fits your needs best, essentially. Google is still the best in the business for specific innocuous searches. It's undoubtedly the superior, at least for those, and it's the most popular for a reason. But if you'd like a little bit more privacy, or you don't want information being collected on certain searches that you're doing that are private, or for whatever reason, there's other options out there, and Duckduckgo is one of them for sure. All right, so moving on, the next thing we want to go over is browser plugins. So let's go ahead and kind of define what plugins are specifically. Plugins add a specific feature to an existing software application. You can add plugins to your current browser that can help protect your identity and ensure anonymity when online. Anonymity, excuse me. Most plugins are junk. Be careful when downloading and installing plugins. A lot of them don't work right, or have glitches, or have issues, or require patches. So just be aware that plugins can be a hassle, especially if they're not properly maintained, upgraded, or properly designed. Plugins are browser specific, so that means if you're using Firefox, you need to download the plugin for Firefox. If you're using Google Chrome, you need to do the plugin for Google Chrome, and so on and so forth. Plugins do not work outside of the browser that they're meant for. So if you get a plugin for Firefox and then you try to utilize it with Google Chrome, it will not work. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to go ahead and install a plugin, and the plugin that we're going to install is what's called Ghostery. Let's go ahead and kind of explain what Ghostery is first before we do the installation. So Ghostery will show who's tracking you and will prevent websites and tracks from collecting user data on browsing habits. So Ghostery will show who's tracking you and will prevent websites and tracks from collecting user data on browsing habits. This is great for preventing data brokers from collecting information on your web browsing habits. Navigate to the Ghostery page and install Ghostery. So let's go ahead and do that. Typically, when you install a plugin or do an add-on, it's going to give you this kind of warning message. It's just kind of a final heads up in regards to the riskiness of doing this. You only want to install plugins from reputable, reliable sites. Be wary and kind of be aware of that there's a lot of nefarious and dangerous sites out there that want you to install plugins that are actually viruses of some kind. So make sure that you do some research before you do a plugin. Since we know Ghostery is a legitimate website and a legitimate service, we'll go ahead and continue to installation. And just give it a few moments to install here. And then, since we kind of emphasize the importance of incognito and privacy modes with browsers, we'll go ahead and click the allow this extension to run in private windows. And this kind of just lets you know that this is how you can manage your add-ons and plugins right here. I'll click OK, got it. All right, so with plugins, there's really no installation involved outside of actually doing the plugin installation. So I'm not sure if you probably remember, but this wasn't here before. And this is the little Ghostery icon up here, which now that we've installed the plugin, it's now up there. So let's go ahead and go to a web page and see what happens with Ghostery on. So let's go ahead and search 9 News. Okay, so as soon as we went to the news page here, you can see that the number went from 0 to 9 almost immediately. So this is kind of indicating, or it isn't kind of, it is indicating the number of trackers. If you actually click on the little icon up here, and get past this promo, this gives you the details on what's happening when you connect to this website. It gives you all the information. You have your options here with Ghostery. You can pause it if you don't want to use it when you go to certain websites. You can restrict the site, or you can mark that you trust the site. And then you have further options down here as well. It's a pretty cool program for sure. There's more up here that you can do as well. Click this off. It has an ad blocker that's built into it that can be very useful. And even stuff like it tells you how long it takes to load. In this case, 1.24 seconds is how long it takes to load 9news.com. And then you have up here the detailed view that goes into further information. Shows you exactly how many trackers were blocked and how many requests were modified. And it shows you exactly like pretty much what's going on when you connect to every website as far as how you're being tracked, how many tracks are going on, where they're coming from, all sorts of info. Very awesome plugin for sure. And then just to downsize it again, you just click on it and it goes away. All right, so moving on here, we're going to move on to proxies. So proxies are a proxy server, are computers which serve as a hub through which internet requests are processed. Go ahead, get rid of this here. When you connect to a website, your IP address shows up to them. Metaphor, kind of like metaphor being kind of like a caller ID. But if you have someone connect on your behalf, they only know the caller ID or the what basically shows up as the proxy server, not the actual IP address of your computer or router. So it's a way of kind of concealing your actual IP address or the address of your router and your computer from the sites that you're visiting, or from people that might be looking it up or trying to find it out. And there's several different types of proxies. There's web-based, downloadable, and VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Networks, which we're not going to talk about today because that's a little too in-depth for the scope of this class. But what we want to do is go ahead and show you one of these proxy websites. So let's see if I can type it properly this time. Nope. All right, so I can't show you this web page, unfortunately, because it is blocked by our firewall, but it is kproxy.com. Since we're based out of a public library, we have firewalls in place that prohibit you or prevent you from going to these proxy websites, which I kind of forgot about. But kproxy.com is one of the more popular and respected ones. And just to kind of go a little bit further into this and to elaborate a little bit further, the proxy service still knows your IP address. So when utilizing these websites or the service, you want to do it with a service that you trust. And it's also important to emphasize that most proxy services will cooperate with law enforcement if you do anything particularly illegal. So we recommend that you don't. And because using a proxy is like relaying a message through a middleman to another party, it will slow down your browsing experience. So you can expect quite a bit of slowdown if you're using a proxy. That's something just to be aware of as well. Obviously not something you'd want to use if you're doing things like gaming or anything like that, anything that requires a lot of bandwidth. All right, so that pretty much covers proxies, or defines them at least. The next thing we want to go on to here is Tor. So Tor, let's go ahead and define Tor before we get into it. It's free software. It's a browser for enabling online anonymity. Tor directs internet traffic through a free worldwide volunteer network consisting of more than 3,000 relays to conceal a user's location or usage. This works in the same way a proxy service does, but it is bundled with the browser. So unfortunately, I won't be able to go to the websites or actually show you how to install this due to our firewall, but we'll at least go over it. So much like the other proxy websites that we were going to show you earlier, Tor will slow down your internet browsing and may make certain browsing very difficult. We recommend you only use it if you're very concerned about your online privacy. It's great for general searches online and also great for making your browser safer, specifically from viruses and malicious attacks. It's not so great for, like I was saying earlier, it's not so great for playing games or like watching movies or streaming, things like that. One of the things to know about Tor too is it uses Duckduckgo by default, the browser that we showed you earlier. And it has a plugin called NoScript on by default, which blocks certain elements on web pages like Flash for video and even Java for online animations and interactivity. And other than that, Tor works basically just like any other browser. You just browse. You could just expect to have some issues with websites that have any of those things on there, like Java or Flash, and probably with certain ads as well. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up this class of Internet Wise. Some things to take away from here is at a minimum, you should be aware that the internet is an archive and that you can only do so much to minimize your presence online if you still wish to participate in online communities or the internet in general. We highly recommend that you download uBlock Origin and Ghostery. Use a different search engine like DuckDuckGo for sensitive searches or things that you prefer to be private. And we also recommend to be careful when posting to social media. That pretty much wraps up what we are going to go over today. Thank you for tuning in and have a good day.